Hey guys, welcome back to Smart Simple Fit. I'm Davin, and today I've got an interesting video for you. We're going to talk about a series of polls that I've been doing over the last several weeks, and I've been collecting some data on you guys, my subscribers, and whoever else these polls were shown to. But we're going to talk about what the different training preferences are based on the 5 polls that I put out. And then I'm going to share with you guys my thoughts about how they are reflective of a concept that I strongly believe in, and that is the freedom within exercise training, right? This idea that you are actually very free to train pretty much however you want. And yes, there is a list of things that need to be done. You need to be checking off consistency, hard work, progressive overload, training movement patterns, etc., doing reps with decent control, good range of motion, not necessarily full. There's various training principles that I think are non-negotiables that I've talked about in my various videos in the past, so I won't reiterate those ad nauseum to you, but I will say this: hopefully my point will be proven to you today, which is that you can really train however you want and get great results, and that these polls are reflective of that. All right, so the 5 categories of different polls I put up. The first topic was, what is your favorite exercise of the big 3? And by big 3, obviously, I mean the squat, bench, and deadlift. And I put in brackets close variations count, so specifically back squat variations, bench press variations done with a barbell, deadlift variations done with a barbell, that sort of thing. The second poll was on what type of training split people like to use. The third poll was on what your favorite type of exercises are. The fourth was on how long someone's workouts typically last. And the most recent poll that I put up was on how many days out of the week do you actually spend time training. So on the first poll, let's dive in, let's take a look. So of the 3 options, right, bench press, back squats, and deadlifts, interestingly enough, of the 27 votes, 52% were bench press. I was happy to see that. I was a little bit surprised to see that. I was surprised that there weren't more deadlifts. You know, it's sort of this like ongoing trope that, you know, everyone's a deadlift specialist because it's the exercise that you can make really aggressive progress on as a beginner. If you're kind of a lanky dude with long arms, tall, good deadlift leverages, you know, that's going to bias you towards it. But despite the trope of the deadlift specialist, especially this, you know, this person who within 1 to 2 years can have a really like decent deadlift but still have like a tiny bench and not that great of a squat, that didn't seem to be that much of a factor here. Who knows? But only 19% of people voted for deadlift and 30% voted for the back squat. I thought that was very interesting. I'd still say overall that's a good mix between them, but it is hilarious that more than half, just over half, said bench press was their favorite of the big 3. Hopefully that doesn't mean people are skipping the other 2 exercises. Of course, that would require more questions to probe deeper into that subject, but I thought it was interesting. And you know what? I love bench press, so there you guys have it. All right, on to the second poll. This was, which type of training split do you currently train? And I gave 5 different options. The 5 options were a body part split, which is often referred to as a bro split, full body workouts. I didn't elaborate on this, but what I meant was full body 3 days per week. Technically, yes, you can do like full body 5 days per week, 4 days. You can have different types of workouts where they all count as full body because there's a mixture of upper and lower work on the same day. So this would depend on how you define full body workouts, but I just put in a generic sense full body workouts to see what people would say. Then the third option was upper and lower split. So that's when you have a dedicated day for upper body and another dedicated day for lower body. And then I put push-pull legs as the 4th option, and I also put in brackets or push-pull. Push-pull is just when you take the leg day, basically split it in half, and put it onto the push or the pull day. So it becomes a 4-day training split instead of a 6-day training split. And finally, the 5th option was other. I put in brackets, you made your own training split like a stud. Okay, so of those options, the bro split got 7% of the 42 votes. Full body workout got 29%, so almost a third. That's pretty good. Upper lower got 17%. Push pull legs / push pull got only 7%. That's the same as the bro split got. And the other, I was really pleasantly surprised by this. The other, implying that you made your own type of split or used a different one, 40%. So the significance of that, I'll just point this out very briefly. Those first four options, body part split, full body, upper lower, push pull legs, those are the ones that people are constantly talking about on YouTube and making videos like, here's why push pull legs is the most scientific training split. Just like silly things like that, or like, oh, here's why, you know, if you want a really good advanced, you need to do full body like me. Yeah, it really doesn't matter, right? I've been a firm believer for probably a year or two now that you don't need to obsess over training splits. Like, training splits is never going to be the thing that gets you jacked. It's the hard work. It's not skipping muscle groups. It's pushing progressive overload, lifting with good technique. It's, you know, delaying the gratification of hitting PRs, avoiding injuries, getting lots of sleep. All of that is so much more important than your training split. In fact, your training split really doesn't matter at all, because logically, if you do, you know, 10 sets of a given exercise throughout a week at the same level of effort, right, equally hard, it doesn't really matter when you do those 10 sets. You could even technically do some 2 days in a row, have 3 rest days, and then go back to it and do some more. Is that ideal? Probably not. I would argue it definitely isn't ideal to train the same thing hard with the intent of pushing progressions 2 days in a row, but guess what? You have total freedom. So the fact that 40% use their own split, which is not one of the 4 super generic ones that everyone's always talking about making videos, that was really pleasant as a surprise for me. So hopefully that stimulates you guys to think, if you're not of those 40%, or if you disagree with that, you think full body is superior, well, let this be an opportunity for you to think critically about whether or not the way you train is really advantageous as far as split. You might have really good exercise selection, really good technique, a really good work ethic, but does your split really matter the amount you think it does? If you think your split is really like the bee's knees, you're probably overemphasizing, you're probably exaggerating how important that is. So I just challenge you to think critically and maybe even test out some different splits, modify your current split, and see if it really changes your results. You might like it better if you divide up what you're doing across 1 extra day, or even remove a day and then divide that work up amongst the rest of your days. You have a lot of freedom in how you train, and I think that this poll pretty much demonstrates that. On to the third poll. This one was, which of the following is your favorite type of exercise? By type, I meant different types of equipment, right? Like modes of exercise. And that one had 41 votes. The first of the 5 options was barbell exercises, then dumbbell exercises, then machines, including like cable towers and stuff, then calisthenics / weighted calisthenics, because really they're the same exercises. It's just adding some weight on top of your own body weight. It's not really fundamentally a different movement. And then the last one was miscellaneous, which I expanded on. I put kettlebells, resistance band, yoga ball. Probably could have put etc. after that, but you know, the stuff that's the more niche exercise equipment is what I was implying there. And of the 41 votes, 51% said barbell exercises. Always great to see. Barbells are very stable, very safe, very practical for whether it's for bench pressing and squatting and deadlifting, doing curls, sometimes it's doing tricep exercises, doing overhead press variations, Olympic lifts, you name it. You can do upright rows. There's so many fantastic exercises that you can do, back extensions, hip thrusts. The barbell is just such a versatile piece of equipment. It's very safe. It's very loadable. It starts at a good weight, right? Sometimes 25 pounds, depending on the barbell, often 45 pounds. There's 55-pound squat bars. And then you have different types of specialty bars. So really, barbell training is, in my opinion, what the bulk of a lot of people's training should look like, right? Then for dumbbells, only 7% said they were their favorite. So that was interesting. 7% also said machines were their favorite. 29% said calisthenics / weighted calisthenics. I also think that's really good to see. To me, of these 5 categories, I think that calisthenics / weighted calisthenics and barbells are like the 2 most important ways to train. I think that those are going to get you the most bang for your buck. You're going to get a lot more out of it. They're a lot more fun as well, and they look cooler. Machines, it's hard for machines to really look cool unless you're leg pressing like 1,000 pounds, right? So, and then the last option, the miscellaneous, which is like kettlebells, resistance bands and stuff, only 5%. So yeah, kettlebells are kind of niche thing. They're all right. You know, you do these kind of like shoulder press things, but they don't really do anything that different or special compared to just like a dumbbell. And they certainly are vastly inferior as far as like load potential. You know, you can do this kettlebell goblet squat, but you know what? You could do a lot heavier than that. A barbell front squat, and you can load like 5 times the weight, if not more, and have a more stable exercise, right? So I thought that was very interesting, and I was happy with those results. I'm not trying to be too biased and influence you guys, but it just goes to show, like, these things are popular, probably not because of propaganda. These things are popular because they're effective, right? That's my opinion, is that what actually works will stand the test of time, and you'll see its prevalence stand up over time because it works. All right, on to the next one. That is, how long are your workouts typically? This one had 39 votes, and the options were 5 to 25 minutes, 30 to 45, 50 to 75, 90 to 120, or longer than 2 hours. Nobody voted for the first two options, so I thought that was very interesting. 44% voted for 50 to 75 minutes. 46% said hour and a half to 2 hours, so 90 to 120 minutes. 46%, that's a lot. And then 10% said longer than 2 hours. So it's amazing to me that 90% of the answers come from those third and fourth options. That's a good amount of time. I think 50 minutes is a pretty reasonable workout. So is 75, an hour, hour and a half is pretty reasonable. 2 hours is a little long for my taste, my schedule, my preferences. But you know what? If you've got a day where you can just grind out a lot of accessories, big heavy hitter movements, compound movements, things that require setup, multiple warm-ups, lots of technique, you name it, right? Getting plates on and off of a bar or setting up specialty equipment. Yeah, things take time, right? So if you really want to be invested in it, yeah, 25-minute workouts probably aren't long enough unless you're doing them like 5-6 days per week and you're supersetting things. So I thought that was good to see. But keep in mind, guys, you have a lot of freedom with how long you make your workouts. And the last one, how many days per week do you typically train? And this is resistance training specifically. 34 votes. And there's 5 options: 3 days, 4 days, 5, 6, or 7 days per week. The most popular one was actually 4 days per week. It's 32%. 3 and 5 days both had 24%. 6 days, 18, and 7 days per week, only 3. So that's good to see. I think you guys should have at least 1 day of rest. It's healthy for your body. It's probably ideal. Personally, I like to train about 5-6 days per week. I've always found that I stay in a better mindset. I have better habits, techniques. I like the multiple opportunities to push progression with a frequency of like 2 to 3 times per week for various exercises. But that being said, if you only train 3 or 4 days per week, if you're pushing it hard enough, especially if you're one of those guys from the previous poll that's doing 2-hour workouts, now you can start to put the picture together in your head of, oh, someone who trains less days might train longer and can train longer. So it's sort of like it all evens out in the long run, right? So you guys can start to put the picture together in your head. I don't know exactly which person in the poll voted for which across all polls or who did or didn't participate, but you can start to get an idea in your head of, yeah, this decision here, you might not like that, but it'll translate to this other thing over here, which will balance the two out. And that's really why you have so much freedom with how you train. Anyways, I thought this was a very interesting experience. I learned a good bit about you guys from this. I hope you guys found this interesting and thought-provoking. So if you ever thought to yourself, oh, that's a stupid way to train, why only this many days, or why only this long of a workout, or why this type of split, I hope this provokes you to start to think more, and feel free to leave questions or feedback in the comments below. If the polls didn't give you an option to reflect how you like to train, tell me all about how you'd like to train. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video to this with some more polls in the future. Thank you guys for participating in them. And again, the take-home message is you can really train however you want as long as you follow the basic principles. You hold yourself accountable, you're consistent, you push yourself, good quality work, etc., etc. All right, don't take it too personally if your favorite ways to train weren't the most popular. It doesn't mean you're training like an idiot, not by any stretch of the imagination. All right, thanks guys. I hope you found this interesting. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks in the next one.